Ag Bioscience, the #1 ag tech podcast globally, is now available on video. Hear from leaders and innovators across food, animal health, plant science, ag tech, and agriculture. Mondays at 6 a.m. on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. While you're there, subscribe and leave us a review. It's the Ag Bioscience Podcast with Agronovis Indiana. Get more information at agronovisindiana.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by myindiana529.com. Dreams are worth saving for. I've got 15 months before the dream of sending my daughter to college and paying for it becomes a reality. I'm so thankful I started myindiana529 17 years ago. You should do the same. myindiana529.com. Kristen joins me today. Dame is at an outdoor swim meet in Florida.
Ew.
What part of the ooh?
Outdoor? I won't speak about Florida too soon.
Kristen, I made an alarming discovery this past week, and I feel like you're the sort of person that doesn't want to hear about it. So here we go.
Perfect.
You know about my YouTube rabbit holes that I find myself in?
Yes, I do.
And I also believe, short of, stolen valor videos, Indian head massages, right, these sorts of, my favorite genre of YouTube videos are airport arrest videos.
No.
Yes.
No.
Why don't you like them? They're the best.
Because that is one of the reasons like airports and airplanes give me anxiety, is like the confinement of so many people. So like someone doing something to the level that they would get arrested, just like I would simply melt. But go on.
Oh, I love it. Anyway, so there's a payoff in every video where the person is being obstinate. They are given just a very, very binary choice. Do this or get arrested.
Right.
Do this or get arrested. And this isn't jump on one foot. It isn't consume a gallon of milk and run a mile. It is be quiet and leave. That's it, right? It's be quiet and leave or get arrested. And so the payoff is when they're like, no, and then they get arrested. Okay, so in that moment, they are then handcuffed, okay? Their hands are put behind their back and they're handcuffed. And I was watching the other day, one of these, my nightly stories, and the gentleman being arrested, as it's starting to happen, he's like, I got shoulder problems.
Oh, my word.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm sitting there with my family, I'm ignoring them. Right. I had nothing for them. And I thought to myself, I have tight shoulders. I have immobile shoulders. So Kristen, I share this idea with my family, my wife, my 2 children. And I say, you guys, I don't think I could be arrested. And so I put my arms behind my back to simulate being handcuffed. Kristen, I got no mobility. I can't get arrested. I can't get my hands behind my back.
I have so many questions.
No, I mean, like, I'm nervous about this.
With that, how are you doing hot Pilates if you can't put your arms behind your back?
Well, as the Pilates girlies and I know, that's not a move. That's not a move we do when we're getting sweaty.
But it's still, I've not been to a Pilates class, but isn't it largely about like range of motion? Like,
that's more yoga.
Okay.
Pilates is more about strength. So I start ChatGPTing of like, okay, why am I a gorilla that can't put my arms behind my back? No offense to gorillas. And it's because of the balance of how I do my weight lift. Like I do more pressing than pulling. And so
push and pull.
Yeah. And so anyway, I'm a little nervous. So I've been working on my shoulder mobility this week, not because I think I'm going to get arrested, but in the event that I were to get arrested, I don't want to be in pain. And I think that's the sort of things you can expect from someone who has the nickname Pete the Planner.
Well, and then also, won't you catch another charge for like resisting? And you're like, but I can't.
I do love the stop resisting. And it's actually a guy that has bad shoulder mobility.
My.
Kristen lost power this week. I don't mean like figuratively. I mean quite literally. Her home lost power with Indiana storms, but she survived last night's storm. So that's good for you, Kristen.
It is good for me. 3 days was 3 days too many for yours truly.
I'm still concerned that you can't handle donkey ownership.
I am concerned. I can't call Maggie's dad. I don't know. Call him up.
And there was the vacuum, and we're back at it. All right. So, Kristen, here's what we're going to do. We've got a great email question this week. It is a long one, and it is a lovely one, and we're very excited. It's so much that you said we don't even need an outline for the show because it's such a juicy, good question. And when you tell me not to prepare for the show, I think, wow, maybe she lost power and also oxygen to her brain.
That could have happened. It's important to put your generator exhaust away from your home. But I don't know that I said don't prepare at all. I think I just said we don't need an outline. So I did still prepare, to be perfectly clear.
Well, I read the email about 10 minutes ago. So here we go. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. You email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. That's askpete@petetheplanner.com. And here's what will happen. Well, you're about to see what's about to happen here on this show because we got an email last week that we're reading this week, and it is a doozy. We will talk about your financial question on the air. And the best part, we won't try to sell you things. See, so often on radio, because this is both a radio show, a podcast, and a live stream, on radio, the point of the financial show is to sell you things. Well, we don't sell you things, so that is why you and I theoretically have a great relationship. Speaking of great relationships, I welcome my co-host, Kristen Elanius, to the party. Hello, Kristen.
Hello.
And my son, Damian Dunn, is off this week. Kristen, this is a doozy of a question. Lots to read, so I need to get started. Vamos. Hi, Pete. I know you love a long email, so buckle up and get the timeout button ready. Here's the challenge, Kristen. I don't have the timeout button anymore. It disappeared off my board when I reset it.
But you took time to import some other sounds, but not, okay.
My husband, a 43-year-old M, and I, a 39-year-old F, are considering sorry, got to keep going. Are considering buying a larger house for us and our 2 children, 1 and 7 years old. We've been in our current house for 10 years, and while we bought it with the expectation of children, we did not expect to both be working from home, needing 2 additional rooms to work from. Timeout. Modern problem.
Such a modern problem. I have so many thoughts about you each needing your own office space, room, not even space.
You are a fully remote worker?
Yeah.
You have your own space?
I do, but only because that's just how the house came, not because I was like, I have to have a dedicated office.
Also, we would like to have a main floor guest room as our parents are starting to have mobility issues. I wonder how their shoulders are. That being said, those are wants, not needs, and we don't strictly need to move. We looked around a bit in early 2025, but the increase in mortgage payment due to higher interest rates seemed untenable, even if the home value stayed around the same. Some houses have come on the market recently that would check all of our boxes. Crunching the numbers now, it seems very doable, but I'm worried I'm missing something. So here's our situation. Our current mortgage payment is $2,200 American dollars a month. Our current mortgage balance is $214,000 American dollars. Our current rate, oh boy, is 2.75%.
Time out.
Okay.
I am only answering this email because you're a listener of the show, and that means that I like you. But from this perspective, it makes me like so upset. I'm so jealous. It's unreal.
Yeah, I'm not as jealous. I have a 2.5% mortgage. Anyway, 14 years remaining on the 20-year mortgage in 2020, keeping our payment about the same, but moving up our payoff date with the drop in interest rates. Expected sale value of our current home is $600,000. Expected purchase price of new home is $750,000. And a new 30-year mortgage payment, if we rolled all of the equity from our old house into the new house, is $3,500. Our combined household income is $200,000 annually, split pretty equally. Here's where things get interesting, and I'm worrying I'm messing up the math. I'm currently part-time, working 30 hours a week. I plan to go back to full-time in the fall. The 1-year-old is already in daycare, and we will spend about $200,000 extra for the school year after school care for our 7-year-old. My take-home pay is about $2,000 every 2 weeks, so about $4,000 a month. Going up 10 hours a week to go full-time will take me to an extra $1,300 a month. Additionally, I'm currently on schedule to max out my 401k. That means $2,000 is coming out per month before any of this starts to happen. That's another $667 that will go into my bank. I think I'm looking at an extra $2,000 per month, which would easily cover the increase in mortgage payments. I'm skipping a paragraph that I don't think is important. Here are the questions. Does my math make sense? How much consideration should I give to the interest rates and what they may do in the future? And there's a lot more as well. But Kristen, the show is almost over. But there's a lot to discuss here. So where do you want to begin?
Can we start with off the cuff, whether we think they should move or not? I'm so curious. Just like first blush, you read the email. What do you think they should do? And then I want to dig into the why.
What do I think they should do? You want me to just rip the Band-Aid off?
Yeah. What did they do?
They should move.
They should move?
Yeah. Do
No.
we disagree?
We totally disagree. They should not.
What?
Yeah. That's why I wanted to lead with that, because I thought that that's what you were going to say. And I think that it makes the follow-ups more compelling. So I don't think they should move.
Okay. Wow. I just woke up. Well, have at it, Queen.
So there's a couple of things, but part of what we skipped is that she does call out that they could technically renovate their house, stay where they are, and get what they need. And my biggest hang up is that if you can get 80, 90% of what you want out of a renovation, but you're not, she says she knows who they are, that they won't do that. They won't contract with someone. They'll just like kick that can down the road. I feel like if you're not willing to do that, that you don't want the things that you desire, the extra space, the main level guest room. I don't think you want them bad enough.
So, okay. Wow. So their lifestyle changing, their life changing. You don't feel like the changes are significant enough to
For them.
For them.
Yeah. For someone else, it might be compelling enough. But my argument is if you're not willing for less money, likely, which I ran some math on this, to renovate where you live to get most of what you want. Do you remember that HGTV show, Love It or List It? Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
That's this concept.
Okay. Well, so you think the solve to this conversation is home renovation versus change the mortgage, change the math?
Sort of. My argument is that if you're not willing to do that, and she's saying she doesn't think that they will in this email, is like, I don't think that we would hire a contractor. I don't think we would follow through. I don't then feel like your problem is as inconvenient or your justification is as compelling as it should be, because if it's really a pain point, I think that you'd be willing to explore that option in earnest.
Fascinating. I think that's interesting. As always on this show, you end up bringing up a point or perspective that I hadn't considered. Here's where I'm at. And it goes to the last paragraph that I didn't read. In terms of savings goals, my 401k gets maxed out each year. I get a 3% employer match and around another 5 to 10% a year from profit sharing. My husband has a SEP IRA through his job at 20%, and we max out our Roth IRAs. We have 529 accounts set up for our kids, blah, 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 blah. We each have plenty of life insurance. They are perfectly planned. This additional $2,000 a month in income that she's going to make will have no meaningful impact on their financial future. So I think that they can actually realize that glory now by changing their lifestyle a little bit. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. That is how I feel. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I do. But I don't think objective affordability is the problem. Their current mortgage takes up like 13% of their gross income, and the new mortgage is like 18%. Like, that's not the problem. That's not the question.
Well, then what's the question?
Should they?
Yes.
No.
They should live a little. Here's what we're going to do. You and I are obviously quite fired up. We're on the verge of fisticuffs. I don't think that's true, but we disagree. So we're going to take a break, and we come back after the break. You're going to present the case of why these people should be jammed into a 200 square foot house for the rest of their lives. Well, I am going to make the argument that as their lives change, they may be responsible for the care for elderly loved ones, that the loving act is to move. All of that is next on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner.
Kids have a way of testing their futures early. Presentations to their stuffed animals, model rockets built out of spare parts from the garage, or turning the living room into their personal training academy. Help them reach their potential with an Indiana 529 education savings plan. With flexible investment options, tax advantages, and a convenient mobile app, saving is at your fingertips. Visit myindiana529.com and start with just $10. Read the disclosure booklet carefully before investing.
Now, when the storms come rolling through wherever you live and you think, my dog's going to be scared, and then you also think, oh no, this is inevitably going to lead to needing a contractor to come out and fix something that the wind is about to break. That is why I specifically use Home Concierge by NeighborServe. You know how home ownership feels sometimes. Things break, you got to tackle a project, and then the real issue is like, okay, well, who do I trust? And I got to vet 3 or 4 contractors to figure out what makes sense for me. That is specifically why I do use Home Concierge by NeighborServe. They eliminate the who do I trust reality, and they're not constantly trying to sell me stuff by just putting vendors and contractors up in my face that they're making the most money on. So visit neighborserve.com/Pete. That is neighborserve.com/Pete for 1 free month of what I get, what I pay for. Home Concierge by NeighborServe. Kristen, so you knew we were going to disagree about this, and so you set me up.
A little, yeah.
What do you think Damien would say? Damien, who's Damien? What would Dame say?
Damien. I think that he would be on my side because I still have more arguments. I think he may have started on your side, but I'm going to sway you both.
Gosh, that's so you. So you I feel like we should call him.
He has actually melted into a puddle. He is no longer here.
You think we call him on the air right now on his vacation?
Do not.
Why?
Because last week we called someone on the air.
I haven't thought much about that. I actually haven't heard any feedback about it either. How about you?
Mm-mm. I mean, I talked about it with my person who also wasn't surprised. So,
yeah. So we're getting, by the way, just to note, Nicholas Wilson tailgated for today's show. He showed up in the live stream hours early, which I really appreciate.
Indeed.
So are you not money ahead to just add an entire wing to your house and keeping your interest rate? I think that's part of Kristen's point. Your home value is appreciating more than 2.75%.
Oh, don't you worry, Nicholas Wilson. I ran the math. Well, chat ran the math, but I told it what to do.
All right. Well, back to the show with Kristen and her robots in 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner Show, we received an email from a emailer at askpete@petetheplanner.com. So you can email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. We will talk about your financial question on the air and give you answers. Are the answers good? Depends on who's giving them. Kristen thinks that her answer is good. I think mine is better. The email this week is from a young couple, young kids, bought a house 10 years ago. Their life has changed a lot. They both now work from home remotely and need office space, if you will. their kids are getting older, and there's a possibility that they may need to care for aging parents all under one roof. The problem is they have a 2.75% interest rate on their mortgage. For those that don't know, the lower the interest rate you have on a debt, the more desirable that debt is as an asset. That's how I personally feel. I have a 2.5% mortgage, and I don't ever want a mortgage again that isn't 2.5%. Mortgage rates today are what, Kristen? 6.5%, 7%?
I was going to say 6.5.
And so naturally, even if they bought the same value of house, which they're not going to, if they did, their payment would be significantly higher. It would go from $2,200 a month all the way up to like $3,500 a month, something like that. And so the question becomes, should they stay or should they go? I said they should move. And I feel like that they have fully funded their retirement. They're saving 529 plans. They have the ability to expand their financial lifestyle. They're so young that they'll still have their home paid off by the time they get close to retirement. So, Kristen, what say you?
Well, actually, that last point is the one that I think is the one that I think I could sway you to my side with, which is extending the timeline for payoff on their current mortgage. Currently, they will be mortgage free before retirement. And we've caught a lot of heat for that over the last few weeks, stating that we think that that's important. But if they refinance, or if they move to this new house, rather, their timeline extends into like they're almost 70, 69 and 73 years old if they take the 30-year mortgage. Pete.
Kristen, a great woman once told me, marry the home, date the rate.
Please.
I believe the solution here is to get 30-year mortgage with the idea that in the next several years, the interest rate will fall significantly, at least 2 points, at least 2 points. And then they can refinance to a 20-year mortgage.
That, in combination with the fact that she has to go back to work and work more hours to feel like this is justified, doesn't give you pause?
Okay. No. No. But let me read that differently than maybe you read it. I'm currently part-time, working 30 hours a week. I plan to go back up full-time, 40 hours a week in the fall. I believe that has nothing to do with her, them wanting to move. I believe that is just part of her career plan.
Okay, I hear you, but I raise you one of my favorite behavioral finance concepts, which is the concept of mental accounting, which is this idea that depending on how we obtain the dollars or how we plan to spend the dollars, we treat them differently. And so we see this all the time. The most practical example is an inheritance from a parent who would have wanted us to take the kids to Disney. Like, that is like case in point, the example where we would say, actually, where is that dollar best served for your family? I don't love that the email frames the increase in income as the way to cover the mortgage payment, because they should be able to cover it regardless. It's the way that she sets that structure up in the email that makes me take a step back.
Okay. Point, Kristen. There's a lot of nuance on that. I'm not going to mansplain what you just said because you explained it well, but I want to say it differently for those that are dumb like me.
Okay.
Men, I need the men to hear this from a man. This is fascinating. You say based on the percentage of that mortgage payment to their income, that no matter whether she increases her hours or not, they should be fine. And the fact that she brought up the hours increase is trying too hard justification for doing it. That's your theory.
That's 100% my theory.
Gosh, I emailed this person this morning telling them that we're doing the show today.
Oh, really?
And to watch it live. So you literally just spat in this woman's face.
I did not.
I'm just kidding. But I think it is possible what you're saying. And if it is true, it is subconscious. I think that it is 100% subconscious.
It is. It's our brains. Our brains have these weird ways of looking at situations. And that's just why it gives me pause is, again, 18% of your gross income going towards your mortgage payment as a rule is wildly affordable. So why we have to insert this additional income into the conversation is slightly concerning. And my second point along those same lines is that they're saving so aggressively for retirement. They're saving like 30% of their income for retirement right now. Why?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, number one, they didn't list. This is where you and I, information we don't have, I think often tells us more than the information we do have. Okay. So I have a theory.
Okay.
I think they're saving the right amount of money. And this is a somewhat recent thing. They probably weren't 10 years ago. And therefore their balances aren't as high as that they want them to be. So they're making up for lost time. So while I said their retirement is taken care of, and I still firmly believe that, especially saving how much they're saving, I think they are late to the party, and that contributes to that. Do you buy that?
I buy that. That would be my hypothesis too, is like clearly they put emphasis on saving and it shouldn't mention retiring early. I mean, maybe that's part of the equation, which does give me additional pause on extending the mortgage. But my guess is it's a little bit of a game of catch up to make them feel secure.
How much do you think the fact that their incomes are equal-ish, how much do you think that plays into a situation like this, that while it might speak of flexibility, it actually speaks of inflexibility? Because if one of them wanted to make a career change or move out of the workforce to be a full-time caregiver, it immediately cuts their household income in half, not by some other number.
That's really interesting because the discretionary income is the big hang up for me. Is I still feel like there's quite a bit of gap, and how they choose to spend that money, whether it feels flexible to them or not, I'd be really interested to know like their power percentage, because they are saving really aggressively for retirement, but in relation to their income, they're not putting a ton of their income toward the principal of their home. So their power percentage might actually be a little lower than we would expect. And if the remainder of that income is in lifestyle creep and lifestyle inflation, they might not feel like they have that flexibility to change who earns or what percentage that earning looks like.
There's another element of this that you've brought up a couple of times, is that 18% of their gross income is going to their mortgage payment under this new idea. But given the fact that they save 30% of their income to retirement, and then of course they pay taxes, I think, I haven't done the math, but I think it's their percentage of their income that would be going towards the mortgage payment net is probably higher than we want. I think that their net take-home pay is so low because they're aggressively saving that, sure, it's 18% gross, but I bet it's creeping up high 30s net. What do you think about that?
That's a really good point. That makes me want to know about their retirement account balances even more.
See? All right, coming up after the break, the unspoken challenge to all of this. What are utilities in a bigger house? All of that is next right here on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. Look at me making your points now.
Yep. Are you on my side yet?
No, I will never be on your side.
Okay. Well, can we, two things. I think we probably actually should answer her two questions. And also I did run the math on the total cost of the difference between turning their home into what they need and the, moving to a new house.
Okay.
And it's a little jarring.
Okay. So are you going to share that with us, or do we just have to live in the land of mystery?
Oh, I'm sorry. I assumed you wanted it to be on the radio. I was just saying that I wanted.
Can we just take a beat, not only to acknowledge the fact that the last several years, I've consistently valued what the radio audiences hears versus what the podcast audience hears. It's kind of funny. I mean, I still call it the radio show, but our listeners via podcast 20x what our radio listenership is. So what is that just the old guy in me?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. I can own that. We have another really good email question that came in that we'll probably do next week. Are we back normal hours next week?
Next week, but then the following we're not, because we're off for the holiday.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep going. It's a fast show today, as people say in the business. 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show. Long email, great email. Here's the basics. A 43-year-old male, 39-year-old female, married, one child that is 1 year old, one child is 7 years old, moved into a home 10 years ago. The home worked out for them, and so much so that when they refinanced in 2020, they got a 2.75% interest rate on a 20-year mortgage. They believe, important to say it that way, they believe the needs of their family and lifestyle have warranted looking for a bigger, vis-a-vis more expensive home. And unfortunately, interest rates being 4% higher. Ooh. Actually, I guess the way you would actually say that is like, what? 300% higher? 400% higher? What is the math?
Oh, that's awful.
Anyway, that stinks. Anyway, at least 200% higher. Should they move or not? Their current payment is $2,200 a month. They're saving about 30% of their income for retirement, and their new payment would be $3,500 a month. The lady who emailed, her hours are about to increase in the fall at work, so they could theoretically both afford to do this without her hours increasing and afford to do it, especially when her hours do increase. Kristen, the buzzkill Elanius, says they should not do this, that it's a mistake. I, more seasoned, have lived many more years than Kristen and am more jaded and cynical, yet I say, go ahead and move. I think you can afford it. Kristen had some points she wanted to bring up. They involve mathematics. Kristen.
Just as a point of clarity there, I don't think that they want to move bad enough. I didn't say they couldn't afford it. I just don't think that they want to move badly enough.
Okay, so as a point of order there, sometimes let's say I'm at a party, okay? And don't make the face as though I'm not at a party, but let's just say I'm at a party and there's music and there's a dance floor. Sometimes I'll give people a little something, but if the crowd doesn't want it bad enough, I won't give it all to them. So I understand what you're saying about someone not wanting it bad enough.
So glad that you painted that picture for us. Yeah. So let's talk about the cost difference. So one of the options technically is to just add space onto their house, assuming that in their locale, their neighborhood, there's no HOA, blah, blah, blah. Let's say we can get past all those constraints. If they were to renovate their house with the difference in increase in price, I think it was like 150-ish that I put into the calculator, the total debt service on that option is about $145,000 by the time their current mortgage is paid off and the home equity loan they take out to do the renovations, assuming they wouldn't have savings to pay for it. Debt service gets them debt-free by 54 and 58 years old, about $145,000. Versus if they move, they have the increased mortgage payment at the increased interest rate. It changes their timeline. Not only are they not debt-free until 69 and 73 years old, it increases their debt service by 4x. It's $543,000 or 34, $534 in debt service to be mortgage-free 15 years later.
So you're saying that you're starting to get me on your side.
100%.
Okay. I want to read this. I skipped this section of the email, but so I want to read it so people understand it. The other option to consider is taking the extra income to do some big remodels of our house so we like it better. But I know us, and we will never actually get around to hiring contractors to change this. Okay, so I'm going to go back to one of your original points of not wanting it bad enough. I think this is evidence for you.
That's what I'm saying.
Is if there's two things, it's like we are willing to go move somewhere else completely and start over versus do something that is theoretically more economical, even if we spend big on it. But the barrier to entry is us being motivated enough to find a contractor, which is I understand. I understand. Kristen, you're making progress with me.
Thank you. And I don't want to not take into consideration they're working from home, living and working in a home that's under renovation. I get that. I totally get that.
The sound of contractor.
Oh, I thought my mic was.
No, I'm just breaking people's ears so I can sound like
perfect.
Yes, I'm Michael Winslow from Police Academy.
Oh my. But I get it. Living among the construction would definitely be an inconvenience, but is it a $390,000 inconvenience? And that's not even to say that I trust them enough based on what we know about them to say that I also would assume that when they become mortgage free, they're going to do good things with that money, whether it's then super fund at the end of the 529 years or put more money toward retirement at the end of their working years. That's not even talking about the interest earning or the earning potential of those dollars that they'll save for the 15 years that they would be mortgage and home equity loan free.
Would you summarize this as someone who is using their stability and flexibility to do something that doesn't make sense?
See, and I don't even know that it doesn't make sense because they can objectively afford it. It's just the way that she structured the email and the items that she gave us. Money's not math. Like the actual personal finance decisions that we make are not about the math of it. And I think that what she's not saying leads me to believe that this isn't the decision that they want to make.
Let's say we were playing tug of war.
Okay.
And we started out equal. And my strength, because I work out 6 days a week, definitely pulls you my direction.
Okay.
But verbally, I feel like I might tip over the line now. I got to be honest with you, Kristen. I may have moved.
I think that you have moved. I just think that you haven't quite accepted that I'm right yet. There are things that she could tell us in the follow-up email. Please send us a follow-up email. I'd love to know about the retirement account balances and maybe expanding on thoughts that you think that we didn't quite capture. But just based on what we have here today, I don't think it's an affordability issue. I think it's that this is too much of a nice to have for their circumstances, and it's not yet a compelling enough reason for them to move. I don't think I would.
I think a really important question to ask themselves is if we did renovations, no matter what the renovations cost, I would not get caught on the cost of renovations at this point.
Sure.
If we did it, is it feasible based on the land that we have? I mean, maybe they have 1/8 of an acre like me. So there is impossible as opposed to you,
right,
who's got some mowable acreage, and then you've got some flooding.
Oh, too soon.
Sorry. I think they got to ask themselves, would we do that?
Right.
And if they would, then I think that's the path that they take. And I think the red herring in all of this is we would never actually get around to doing it. I feel like that is where I've chosen to now get stuck. Is that there's a difference between it is the right thing to do and I'm never going to get it. It's like going to the gym. At some point, it's still the right thing to do, whether you get around to doing it or not. And the impact of not doing it will be felt. And you've quantified what that is in the form of dollars. All right, Kristen.
Say it.
I see your point.
That's right.
I see your point. It doesn't mean that I think that's what they should do, but I see your point. I think they need to examine a little deeper some of the motivation around this. And maybe ultimately is, Kristen, interesting point. Here are a set of facts that make it different. And I also think it's important for us to say on this show, or anytime you get personal finance advice from TikTok or anything like that, is like, no matter what you choose, it doesn't make you dumb. It doesn't mean you made a giant mistake. It's just there's a set of options. Some are optimal, some are less than optimal, and that's it. Right, Kristen?
That's exactly it.
All right, coming up after the break, biggest waste of money of the week in the news right here on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. Now, a lot of these, when we get these sorts of questions, I always want to know what they're going to do. Now, here's the problem. I get emails all the time for people that used to be on the version of the show years ago where I'd actually have guests on the $1 Million Day, and they give me updates all the time, probably once a month. Lots of people. But the problem, Kristen, is you know about me, I don't remember anything. So they're giving me an update they're giving me, I'm watching the sequel of a show that I didn't see the original, despite the fact that I was an actor in the original.
What's so bizarre to me about that is that you remember so many things so well, but the things that you don't remember, it is truly like they're absent.
That's well said. There's not like little flickerings of memory.
No.
They're like that they never
gone.
Here's something. I may have mentioned this in the show. So I haven't been partaking in the devil's sweat this year, alcohol.
Oh.
I haven't been drinking this year. And so my wife and I'll watch a show, and then we'll go the next week. The next episode will be on. And in the past few years, we'll come to the next episode and something will happen. And I'll be like, where did that come from? And she'll be like, well, in the last episode. And I've always just chalked it up to Daddy's had a few beverages and like, I just don't remember. So I haven't been drinking at all. And so the same thing's still happening. Mm-hmm. So it's I have a bad memory and I don't pay attention.
I was going to say the latter I feel is key. There's no chance you're scrolling on your phone, checking your email.
I think the other aspect of this too, as I've said on the show, is that like I get really frustrated now that a big part of shows, modern shows, is that the camera will show text messages on a phone screen, and you've got to read to move the plot ahead, the storyline ahead. And I can't read the text messages, and they don't show up in the closed captioning.
That's
getting old as hell.
I was going to say that's such an old man's problem. I feel like.
Kristen, I took a day off last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a celebrity sighting in my hotel.
Oh?
Have I told you about this?
I don't think so.
So I always end up spotting celebrities in my hotels. I saw Malcolm Gladwell in Atlanta last year. I famously rode in an elevator in Los Angeles with Sean Puffy Combs. And this past weekend, I rode in an elevator with a celebrity of which I just occurred to me, there's no way in the world you know who this is because you don't watch television.
I don't. Well, I watch TV. I don't watch movies.
Jeremy Piven?
But
Who was Ari in Entourage on HBO?
Not a clue.
You don't know who Jeremy Piven is?
I don't think so.
Can you look him up with your setup the way your computer setup is right now?
Yeah.
Jeremy Piven, Piven.
I think the answer is going to be no.
You've had to have seen him, and he's been in a lot of movies, but he's also was like a major star on a major show.
No.
Bummer. Anyway, saw him. I'm taller. Okay, let's get back to the rest of the show in 3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Planner Show is Jurassic Finance Fossil Investment Platform. Oh, I should show what I'm sorry, everyone. It's a visual too.
Oh my.
The same auction house that sells Basquiat's and vintage Ferraris have been setting records on dinosaur fossils for years, with one T-Rex selling for over $30 million at Christie's in 2020. Until now, ownership has been limited to a very small group of serious collectors. Now, Jurassic Finance makes it possible for the rest of us to own a piece of prehistoric history. It structures each fossil acquisition as a dedicated special purpose vehicle then fractionalizes it into tokens on Solana, giving holders verifiable economic rights to the underlying specimen. The fossil itself goes to a museum, which covers insurance and maintenance, while economic ownership stays on the blockchain. The first raise funds the infrastructure. The second targets the acquisition of an authenticated Triceratops skull with a target range of $1 million. Token holders receive ongoing economic rights as the asset appreciates, with a lending and borrowing market planned against the special purpose vehicles at a 50% loan to value. Now, Kristen, unlike some of our biggest waste of money of the week, there's no guessing how much this thing costs, because it's like 3 cents a share, 3 cents a piece. So it's just the dumbest thing in the world. I'm bringing it up because no matter what you put into this, it is absurd. I also think it is fundamentally strange. Chris, I am not a big PETA guy, but I want to paint a picture for you. Okay. Millions of years ago, there was a Triceratops, and its name was Fred. I don't know what its name was. I don't speak dinosaur. Fred died of cholera, maybe of meningitis. I don't know. He's dead. He's fossilized. And now people can own a part of his corpse. That is twisted, Kristen. And that's why it's this week's biggest waste of money of the week.
I am most concerned about the fact, like, if there really is this demand for private collection, like, why would someone want to give up their private collection and like let other people buy into this thing? Buying stock in a Triceratops skull?
I think A, they go out and buy these from collectors, but B, I think there's a sense, I did do some clicking and reading, that they're going out and doing digs and those sorts of things. So it just seems like a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Biggest waste of money for sure.
Yeah. What is in the news this week?
Let's talk about the Fed. The Federal Reserve has decided to leave interest rates unchanged, but officials are signaling that rates could rise later this year as inflation continues to climb. In its first meeting under new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh, the central bank cited persistent inflation pressures, with consumer prices up 4.2% from a year ago, the highest level in more than 3 years. Despite inflation concerns, the U.S. job market has shown signs of strength. Employers have added an average of 188,000 jobs per month over the last 3 months, reducing pressure on the Fed to cut rates. Updated forecasts from policymakers now suggest a quarter-point raise increase could come before the end of the year. For now, the Federal Reserve says it remains committed to restoring price stability while closely monitoring inflation and economic conditions in the months ahead.
Good for the Fed for making a good decision, even with all of these turnovers, in my opinion, from my perspective. I think that there is a hint to interest rates might be going up is interesting. I also don't buy the jobs numbers.
Oh.
Do you? I mean, do you buy the jobs numbers?
I fear we've had too many retractions as of late to buy the jobs numbers, right?
Theoretically, I think there was a lot of uncertainty, and then the Bureau of Labor Statistics sort of paused for a while, and then they changed who was running it, and then there was the revisions, but they were both negative. There's a couple positive ones, but all the news since then has been massive jobs. I'll be honest with you, as someone who hires people and has a sense of these things, doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of job creation going on out there.
Maybe not.
I also think we've just passed prime hiring season for new college grads, new high school grads. And so there is some element of, well, there should be a lot of jobs there, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't matter what the pool of applicants are. That doesn't necessarily impact who's hiring what. So interesting. Can you imagine, world? We just did this whole show on the fact that interest rates will eventually go down here soon, theoretically. The fact that if the Fed raises interest rates in the next 12 months because of inflation, that would be wild.
Yeah, and just drives home the point of we just can't make decisions based on what we think interest rates will do.
Kristen, what else is in the news?
Speaking of mortgages, Unfortunately, most of my news stories are negative today. I'm really sorry. I tried to find positive ones. I really did, I swear. Foreclosures in the United States have reached their highest level in 6 years as rising housing costs make it harder for some homeowners to keep up with their monthly expenses. According to property data firm Adam, reported by the Wall Street Journal, nearly 119,000 properties received foreclosure filings during the first quarter of 2026, which is a 26% increase from the same period last year. Experts say the increase does not signal a housing crisis like one seen during the Great Recession, but it does highlight growing financial pressure on some households. One major factor is the rising cost of homeownership beyond the mortgage itself, as home insurance premiums, property taxes, and homeowners association fees have all increased significantly in recent years. Housing experts also point to the resumed student loan payments and rising credit card and auto loan delinquencies as contributing factors. And while many homeowners have substantial equity in their homes, those who bought recently have fewer options if they fall behind, particularly because some market prices have begun to decline. Analysts say the trend serves as an early warning sign that higher living costs are putting increased pressure on American households.
I found myself 2 weekends ago randomly watching The Big Short, the Michael Lewis book turned movie. Have you seen that?
I have.
Wow. Like, really?
I have, for real.
That's scary. Not both the movie and the story you just had.
It is. I mean, when you look at the graph, it looks a little less scary, to be fair. Like, it's still not anywhere near a high by any means, but the increase is, of course, concerning as someone who cares about financial stability when we're seeing increased delinquencies on, auto loans or credit cards, or we see federal student loans when people are falling behind in combination within that housing potential instability. It's just really concerning for global financial health.
I think this is so interesting around the previous story on interest rates, because housing can feel more affordable with lower interest rates, but then the pool of buyers grows. So then the prices of homes increase because there's more buyers for fewer supply.
Yeah.
And then you get to this story of like, well, clearly there was a period of time in which people were buying homes at interest rates that weren't sustainable for their budget. It's all very complicated. That's why economics is a theory. There are theories of economics. It is not, I'm sure my college econ professors, A, don't listen to the show, B, would disagree with me. This is not a science, right?
I don't think so. And just like when you have so much, the problem is when there are so many big variables that are uncertain or feel like they're not reliable, how are you supposed to have certainty even around principles that do stand the test of time?
It's a good question. You have time for one last 30-second story?
The 2027 cost of living increase for Social Security, the estimate range is 3.8% to 4.7%, citing that it's largely driven by oil and fuel prices. Shocking.
Okay. I mean, sometimes you see those increases and you're like, oh, that's not really, that feels, I don't want to say the F word. I don't want to say it sounds fair, but that sounds reasonable.
Feels representative for sure.
There you go. All right. We did it. Email us. We will mess you up. No, I'm just kidding. Email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com, and you will get critical conversation about your financial decisions. That's how the show works. Kristen and I did that this week. Next week, Kristen, Dame, and I will do that again. Listen to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. It's called Pete the Planner Show, and I'm sending you good vibes because good vibes are all that's in the budget. Like I mentioned, Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. All right, Kristen, here's the thing. I got to go. This was fun, delightful, and you got my attention and my vote.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Pete.
All right. So by the way, when I end this stream here in just a moment, I'm actually hanging up, Kristen.
Oh,
no post-show fun for me. I got to go. So everyone, including Kristen, stay getting money.
Off the Record with Indiana's 250 most influential business and community leaders is a podcast that peels back the curtain on Indiana's most respected leaders, one episode at a time. Go beyond the headlines and hear the stories of grit and innovation that shape these leaders. Do you want to know who's driving our state forward? This is a must listen. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts or at ibjpodcast.com.
The IBJ Media Podcast Network is the soundtrack of a growing state. Indiana is on the move, and you can hear it happening on the IBJ Media Podcast Network. We bring you the voices at the center of our economy, our courts, our companies, and our communities. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation that's building Indiana's future. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit ibjpodcasts.com.